The following is a paid program that is paid for by AARP of Michigan.
Hello, you may know someone who has a disability and find it challenging to find the right transportation to get out and about, but they still like to do so. Daniel Whitehouse is here to share with us the services that they offer at SMART. And can you share with us what those services are, what people throughout the state of Michigan can look forward to make it easier for them to have access to transportation?
Absolutely, yeah. So SMART encompasses 1,700 square miles roughly of Wayne, Macomb, and Oakland counties. We have a plethora of services. One is our fixed route service, which is dedicated, pre-scheduled routes along major corridors, major routes within the region that really connects people within the counties and to the other counties. Additionally, SMART offers a paratransit service, which we'll talk a little bit about today. And that service is more of your door-to-door, curb-to-curb service for people who can't get to the fixed route. So many seniors, people with disabilities are utilizing that service. Additionally, we have a demand response service, which is a pre-book service that we're going to talk about today that in coordination with paratransit and fixed route also increases accessibility for people in the region. And then the last service that is newer to SMART is our on-demand service, or microtransit as it's commonly known nationwide. We have branded that SMART Flex. We wanted it to be a flexible service, getting you within a zone, a smaller service area, but also connecting you with the fixed route so that accessibility for the entire region is opened up when you're using the entire family of services that SMART provides. How long
have you been providing, has SMART been providing these services?
So SMART was established back in the 1960s under a different name. So we've been providing fixed route and other services for a number of years. With the Legislative Act in 1990 for the Americans with Disabilities Act, that reshaped kind of the paratransit realm, ensuring that people with disabilities who again can access the fixed route did have equal accessibility to public transit. Our SMART Flex brand is newer to the region. That microtransit service is more kind of piloted nationwide, so a lot of agencies and different authorities are learning how that works in conjunction with other service. And in some cases, they're learning how microtransit can replace other services. As we look as an industry of how do we utilize our funds in the most effective way, we are looking at the cost of the fixed route network. We're looking at the cost of microtransit. And we're also using data to determine demographics of if we have this population in this area, where are they trying to go, and what service is really the best fit for that area. With also keeping in mind conjoining the entire area and making accessibility really at the forefront of this.
Is it just for people with disabilities, or is it for older adults and others as well, or just those with disabilities?
Yeah, so the fixed route network is available to everybody. The best benefit to fixed route is you can wake up in the morning and need to go somewhere. And if you understand the fixed route network or know how to get that information, most of the time you can just walk to the corner, get on that fixed route bus, and know where to go. The paratransit and demand response type services really are pre-booked. And that can create some hardships for riders as there's less spontaneity for them. Microtransit is, if you envision an Uber Lyft type model, it's I need a ride now, I book this trip, I'm within this service area, and the vehicle should be arriving within 15, 20 minutes, whatever the target is for that agency. So as we are looking at those services, again, we're looking at what those needs are. What is the general population need in each area, and how can we best execute that?
Are there limitations or requirements for who's eligible to ride?
There are, right? So again, not really on the fixed route side. Microtransit doesn't really have much eligibility. You really need to just be within that service area and either transferring to another service within that zone to take you out of the zone, or transporting within the zone, right? So if you live in Metro Detroit, Pontiac, the city of Pontiac is in one microtransit zone. If you wanted to go to a city, Bloomfield Hills, that's not within the zone, right?
Okay.
But there are other routes that you could use in Pontiac to connect you to Bloomfield. On the paratransit side, that's where the big eligibility does play in. We are doing, and not just SMART, but all transit agencies that are providing paratransit have an application process in which the applicant is explaining to the transit agency what their travel impact is preventing them from getting to a fixed route. One example might be macular degeneration, right? Where somebody with low vision may struggle to safely get to a bus stop. If you think of the sidewalks, which are all gray typically, and it's a cloudy day in Michigan in the middle of winter, would they see that sidewalk was raised? They may not, and that presents a trip hazard or a safety issue. So when we're looking through the applications, we're looking at, can they safely get to a bus stop? Can they safely navigate the fixed route system, right? So if the 2 buses come, 3 buses come, can they identify what the different routes are? Making sure that they don't end up in an area that they're not familiar with. And then finally, do they have the ability to get on the bus itself? Pay the fare, know how to navigate once they're on the bus, know how to communicate potentially with the driver. So we look at those 3 facets in determining eligibility for riders.
And so income does play a role in that as well?
Income does not play a role. Now, there are agencies, not only in Michigan, but also in other states, that do have income-based services. That can be on fare differences, or if there's certain grant fundings, right? They may provide a cost-effective service based on income levels. For SMART, we do offer reduced fare rates for those who have permanent disabilities. We work in some coordination with other agencies who may provide tickets to people with low income, or bus passes to people with low income. So we do some of that through different community-based programs.
Is there also assistance getting on the vehicle? If they need assistance, like if they're in a wheelchair, will the driver get out and assist, or do you have the lift, or what happens?
Yeah, it's a great question. So on the fixed route side, for SMART in particular, our vehicles can be lowered, and we do have a ramp that we can deploy out, and that usually allows people to traverse on there. One of the things our drivers are trained to is where the best place to deploy lifts are. If grass is not usually suitable because in the middle of winter, or if it's wet, it can be hard for somebody to get to the ramp. So we really look for hard surfaces that don't have steep inclines or declines to deploy those. On the paratransit side, we do offer different services, as do most agencies who are providing that. So we will offer wheelchair assistance, where we'll go up to the door, we'll push somebody from the door of their home or business to the vehicle. We also provide arm guidance, so people who have low vision, we will guide them to the vehicle. So there's a plethora of services and assistance that we offer. A lot of times we work in coordination through the application process, or right when they start to ride, we'll ask, are you able to get to this point and this point, and make sure that the right resources are provided.
Do you have more applicants than you have spots available?
Luckily, no. No, we receive quite a few applications every week. SMART is very fortunate that we do have capacity available, that we are able to still take trip demands on. One of the growths that we are seeing, not just within Michigan, Metro Detroit, but region-wide, is new softwares that are coming on, which have, as anybody uses an app, will know there's always updates, right? And those updates usually have a back-end growth. A lot of the software updates have more powerful back ends, so they're doing better with scheduling of time to get to locations, loading and unloading of vehicles. And what that has done for agencies is opened up more capacity, right? If you think of at home and you need to go somewhere and you're writing it out and mapping it out, it's hard to really consider all the factors needed for transportation. These softwares are designed to do that for us. And so we plug in all the metrics, as I mentioned, the loading and unloading of somebody onto a vehicle. which varies depending on if they're walking on, using a cane, a walker, wheelchair, and then the travel time. All of that we budget the time for. And so we've seen growth in accessibility, growth in availability based on better technology.
Are there restrictions on where people can go? Like, when you take them to a bingo game, I know you'll probably take them to a doctor's office, but are there restrictions on where they'll go? And does the smart or the driver know when to pick them up, or do you have to call again and ask for a pickup?
That's a very good question. So at SMART, luckily we are not discriminating against any trip purpose.
Great.
So the ADA is one of the benefits to riders is that all trip purposes under the Americans with Disabilities Act are equal. And so if they want to go to a family's house is just as important as dialysis or life-sustaining treatments. In terms of booking the trip, right, one of that is communication between our departments and the rider. One of the kind of best avenues to do this is talking to them, and even talking to the doctor's office and saying, you know, Mr. or Mrs. Smith is coming to your appointment. How long do you expect to have them there? We try and do all of that at the time of booking so that we can then balance all of the schedules. With 1,700 square miles, it's very difficult to just have vehicles available at all times everywhere to just pick people up without structure.
Will insurance cover any of the cost, or is it not even billable to insurance?
Great question. Yeah, so we do have a number of riders, especially in Metro Detroit, that do get reimbursed for transportation. And we are happy to provide receipt of the trips that they've taken and the applicable fares, and they submit that depending on their needs. We submit to them the documentation, and then they go through the reimbursement process on their own.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And some people have routines, right? They don't want to go to the bingo or want to go to the doctor's office, you know, every month. Can they schedule their rides in advance? Like, you know, every second Wednesday I'm going to go to see my aunt. Can they do that? Or do they have to, should they call each time?
Yeah. So most of those trips are done by them calling recurrently. It's very difficult with a lot of the technologies to be able to say the third Thursday of every month we're going to X or Y. So one of the things SMART has done is we allow 2 weeks of booking. If we do run into a circumstance where the passenger may not be able to make the reoccurring booking for whatever reason, there are alternatives that we can do to work with them. But again, we are trying our best, not only at SMART, but region-wide, nationwide, to make sure all those spots that we talked about are available at all times, right? And so if somebody pre-books all these trips and then isn't available to take them, that hinders our ability to provide service to other people.
Absolutely, the flexibility.
Exactly, yes.
So is SMART just in Southeast Michigan, or are there similar services throughout the state?
Yeah, so SMART is in the suburban area, so we're Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, but we do work in partnership with transit agencies across the state. To mention a few, right, you know, we work with Ann Arbor and DDOT directly, as well as Flint MTA, where our service areas are either overlapping or touching each other. And then we also work with other transit agencies within the state. We'll talk about eligibility. So if a rider has a certification in Grand Rapids and they need to come to Metro Detroit, they'll coordinate with our department to make sure that their eligibility can transfer over. And so when they arrive in Metro Detroit, transportation goes seamlessly. If they're not using one of those, you know, paratransit services, demand response, you know, again, our departments can coordinate. If you arrive in the airport, here's the fixed route network. So it's about all the services.
Yes.
And then we even do that nationwide. So we have riders in Metro Detroit who come from Las Vegas or Chicago or Atlanta, to name a few. And when they know that they're arriving or they're planning a trip to us, they will reach out to us, or their transit agency will reach out to SMART, and vice versa. We'll do it on behalf of somebody. And so again, once they arrive at the appropriate destination, their transportation services continue seamlessly.
And when you mentioned certification, is that simply means that they've gone through the process, the application process,
Correct.
and they've been certified as a writer.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to find out more about what's available in their community, what would they do?
Oh, there's a lot of good avenues there. So the first advice I would always give somebody is to reach out to their local transit agency.
Okay.
Talk about what their overall needs are, right? Where are your doctor's offices? Where do you want to go? Not just where you need to go, but learn more about where you want to go, and talk with them. If you need things that are kind of bigger scale, right? MDOT has a Department of Passenger Services. And that's a great starting point. They have local representatives. We talk to ours quite often in the Metro Detroit area. And so that's a great department that can open up transit, answer transit questions statewide, and potentially refer you to other states. But yeah, the call centers are the best part. We get a lot of calls to SMART of, I need to go here, I need to go there. And we act as a starting point. Again, talking kind of the last topic again, we can make those phone calls and say, we have this person here, they're looking to go to Grand Rapids for X or Y, and how do we start that coordination process?
We've used the word SMART a lot, and I know that's a term that I've seen on subways, different places where the word SMART. What does it actually stand for?
So, yes, so SMART in Metro Detroit is the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation.
Okay, say that again.
The Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation.
And there are SMART systems throughout the country, or just in Southeast Michigan?
So there's different transit agencies nationwide. A lot of them have their own acronyms. So if you look in the Dallas region, right, you have Dallas Area Rapid Transit, which is going to be the Dallas area, but then Fort Worth may have a different name.
SMART, DART, we kind of
exactly right. So in Metro Detroit, we have SMART, and then we have DDOT.
Okay.
Detroit Department of Transportation. Okay. You've got Ann Arbor Area of Transportation. You've got Flint's MTA. So the acronyms might be different, but the crux of having different public services and different transportation options are equal.
Have you found that some older adults in particular are a little hesitant to get into the car with someone that they don't know? Have you had? Because
we have, yeah, and it's not just cars; it's all buses, all different types of vehicles. The newer technologies do a good job of allowing agencies to let them know the name of the operator. Our operators, if they're asked, will provide their name, but we really do a lot to make sure that they're in a uniform, they're in a branded vehicle. Nice. Even some of our providers who may use a minivan, that minivan's going to come with some logo, some branding. We're not just going to show up in an unmarked car with somebody who is not identifiable. And that really helps a lot with the ease for seniors, but also people with disabilities. Right. Another thing that we've done in particular in SMART is we rebranded our vehicles, especially on the paratransit side. We did an update this year. We went from a traditional white base with a red swoosh to a gray overlay, which looks a lot more modern, really slick. What we learned when we deployed those vehicles was a population of riders who wouldn't come out to the vehicles because it looked different from the old fleet. And so we worked in conjunction with marketing and other departments to do videos and to get pictures out there that we could send to riders, send to loved ones, right? Maybe it's, I need the picture so I can put it up on my mother's fridge and say, Mom, if this new vehicle shows up, it's a SMART accepted vehicle. Nice. So we learned a lot about our needs as an agency to increase education and awareness.
That's smart. We've got about a minute left, so tell us a little bit about the screening of the drivers, because in a time where there's so much fraudulent activities and scamming going on, I'm certain that there's a lot of liability here, so people should feel safe and comfortable getting in a vehicle with your drivers.
Yes. Drivers nationwide, all transit agencies, we are going through the background checks, we are going through drug and alcohol testing, and that's before they even get into our training programs. Then they go through a training program which can vary agency to agency depending on license requirements, service area, how much knowledge is needed. and then they start a probationary period, right?
Nice.
So drivers, by the time it's all said and done, you're talking months of training, backgrounds, education, just learning how to do this job, how to be respectful to others, how to communicate with them, and how to drive safely.
Very nice. That is so important. Thank you so much for the work that you do and for taking the kind of care and attention for older adults and those who need a little extra help to make sure that they can get out and about and do what they need to do. So last, in the 30 seconds we've got left, or 10 seconds we've got left, people should go to MDOT or else their local transit agency to find out what's available in their community, right?
Yes, they can start with MDOT and learn through the Department of Passenger Relations where the starting points are, or again, they can call their local transit agency and we can always work in a connection.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm Tracy Anderson with Impart Alliance. Today I'm joined by Bethany Deiser. Bethany serves as our Associate Director of Impart Alliance, and she also oversees our training. Bethany, can you tell me a little bit about the opportunities that are available for employers of direct care workers?
So right now we are offering free direct care worker training to direct care workers across the state of Michigan. It's a great opportunity for employers to access training from our programming for their employees. And we know that direct care workers want more training. In surveys asking direct care workers about why they want to stay or leave the profession, very often they cite feeling a lack of support, inadequate resources, and not being part of the team at their workplaces. So what a great opportunity for employers to show support and also build skill and knowledge in their employees to help them do excellent work.
And what is the best way for employers to reach out to Impart Alliance for these opportunities?
So employers are certainly welcome to email us directly, contact us through our website. Our virtual training program is live. We have classes being offered every day of the week. They can assist their employees to create a profile, register, and sign up for some class times. We know direct care workers work all different shifts, all different days, and we try to make our classes available at different times and different dates. But we also have an option if you're an interested employer and you want to train one of your seasoned advanced direct care workers to become a trainer and deliver our standardized curriculum to their colleagues in your organization. We have a program that can help you facilitate that. It's a great career opportunity for those direct care workers, and it's a great way to incorporate training as part of your workplace, as part of onboarding, as part of advancement and decision making.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Thank you, Bethany.
Of course.
One of the reasons that people don't go to the dentist is because they think it's too expensive. Dr. Ascari, will you address that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. There are options available for many of our seniors. A lot of the state plans, a lot of the Medicare, Medicaid plans are also covering some of the dental procedures. When it comes to more of procedures that are more advanced, like dental implants, yes, they are not up to par where they should be. And that's where some of the offices, the private offices, they have options available and financial plans available for the people who want to take it at a little bit at a time, or who might not be able to come up with a big chunk of money at the same time. You said that a lot of people don't go to the dentist thinking that they might be expensive. So we have to kind of change the people's psyche as to when it is related to dentistry. For some reason, some people think that teeth are not a crucial part of your body.
And they're wrong.
And they are wrong. When it comes to teeth, we should be giving it more importance, not just after we have lost them, but while we have them. And that's the best time to take care of them. That's the best time to maintain them. Best time to make sure that you are not caught without them. And that's the cheapest way to take care of them.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
So you think you or a family member might have some type of dementia? Should they be diagnosed, Dr. Schaefer? How do you know if they have dementia or if they're just aging?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think most of us experience changes in cognition as we age, right? So to some extent that's expected. And in fact, if you look at data and you look at studies, you'll see that we have maybe two pathways. One is a fluid pathway of thinking, and that's maybe how quick I think, how efficient I am at processing information. And that seems to peak around 30 years of age. So that's sort of shocking to think.
Peaks at 30.
Sort of think about it as how fast and efficient I'm peaking. And then we have crystallized functioning, and crystallized functioning is vocabulary and so on. But so those may change over time a little bit, but how do we know, when this is becoming something that's important to medically manage? And I think getting the diagnosis and working with your family physician, seeing a neuropsychologist, those are super critical in acquiring that information.
So what do you do after you've received that diagnosis, though? I mean, what changes?
What changes, ideally, is that you were starting to develop a team to think about what does the future look like, and whether or not that's going to be medication, whether that's going to be support from caregivers, whether that's going to be a conversation about durable power of attorney, and who's going to help me make my medical decisions. So being ahead of the curve with that type of knowledge is critical.
So when you get that diagnosis, that's the trigger to start building a team, because you know what's coming and it's inevitable. Is that true?
I think that it's a great way to think about it. It's having the more support, and we know for sure, data will tell us, fighting conditions, dementia conditions by yourself is not as easy as it is to have a team around you, family members.
So get a team.
Get a team.
Thank you, Dr. Schaefer. Michigan has approximately 1.7 million unpaid family caregivers. Jason, how does AARP Michigan support family caregivers?
Thank you, Paula, for that question. AARP supports family caregivers in a variety of ways. We have a plethora of resources online for caregivers who are just starting out to learn the basics of caregiving. We have resources for things like legal considerations and medical management. We also have ways for caregivers to connect with other caregivers to work through stress and respite. We have a new program called AARP Care Connect, which allows a group of caregivers who are caregiving for a single person to work together to assign tasks and coordinate to ensure that that older adult is being cared for properly. Additionally, AARP advocates for caregivers at the federal, state, and local level, with a tax credit being one of our largest priorities for caregivers to bring financial relief, because we know that caregivers spend, on average, $7,000 out of pocket providing care for loved ones.
And caregiving impacts everybody. So if people want more information, if they want to find out more about the resources that you mentioned that are available, what should they do?
Well, the first place they should stop is the AARP website. We have an entire section dedicated to this, aarp.org/caregiving. You can also call our toll-free number and talk to our dedicated call center folks, and they can connect you with a state resource guide that they can mail to you for free.
Thank you for that, Jason. It's so important to share your personal story. So don't hesitate to share your story and call AARP. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
There's no need to stay home alone. There is transportation available regardless of your need. Just be sure to share this information with other people who might need this news that you can use. Thank you for watching.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.